All right. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Love Chat with the Love Twins. Today is going to be on fire. On fire because this is a subject that for me is so important, and for Gladys as well, obviously, but it's also something that it's been coming up a lot. And one of the things that we want to do is we want to take the woo-woo-ness out of how dysfunctional patterns work and understanding why, even though you know something or someone isn't good for you, you keep getting drawn back into it. And then in addition to knowing why, also knowing how do you break that pattern. So this is a really important topic. So if you are someone or you know somebody who is repeating patterns over and over again, go ahead and share this love chat with them, because we are out to have this really make a difference for as many women, people as possible. So if you have ever been in that situation, I know I have been in that situation, and we're talking specifically in the area of love, where you go through an experience with someone and it's heartbreaking, and you realize that there are certain behaviors that you put out there. For example, maybe you chased, maybe you overgave, maybe you keep attracting men who they have no interest in being in a committed relationship, and it feels like, and this is what it felt like to me, it feels like they're all somehow showing up in your world. And it's so confusing because you don't understand why you keep being attracted to them, and or why they keep showing up. And you also don't understand why you keep doing the things that you kept saying over and over again you're not going to do. So if you've ever done that, if you've ever had a dysfunctional pattern that keeps showing up in your life, go ahead and type DP in the chat. DP for dysfunctional pattern. And I'm going to support you today in really being able to understand how this works and then how to break out of it. And we've got something that's going to make a difference for you if you really are committed to breaking out of those dysfunctional patterns that just absolutely don't work when it comes to love, because it's keeping you from attracting the kind of relationship, the kind of person, the kind of experience that you know in your heart you want, but you've got to get over this hump of repeating the same thing over and over again. All right. So again, I highly recommend that you share this with somebody. Everybody here knows somebody who's struggling in love, or everybody here knows somebody who's struggling with a pattern that they can't seem to break. Make a difference for somebody. Here's the first pattern you can break: the pattern of being stingy, the pattern of not sharing, the pattern of caring. Oh my God, what are they going to think? They're going to think whatever they're going to think. You don't allow that to keep you from making the difference that you know that you can make for somebody. So here's what I want to start off with. When it comes to relationships, and I'm talking about romantic relationships, and this also trickles into other relationships, because you've heard us say this many times before: the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Sometimes it feels like it's only showing up in one area, but when you really take a look at it and you look at what's really going on, you'll see that it's showing up in other areas. So when it comes to relationships, many of us end up repeating the same patterns over and over again, even when we know that they don't serve us, even when we know that they're causing us pain, even when we know that we're going to probably end up in the same place we've been before, we keep going to them. So have you ever wondered why that happens? If you've ever wondered why that happens, put a question mark in the chat, because this is something that if you don't get to the core of it, what's going to happen is it's probably going to keep showing up over and over again. So why do we keep being attracted to and dating and getting into relationships with the same type of people? Why do we keep falling into the same kind of behaviors over and over again? Why do we keep having the same kind of arguments with people over and over again? Or maybe if you feel the same way about someone or something, and you keep repeating it, even though You know in your heart you want something different. You know that this is not what you want, and yet you keep getting pulled into that. So all this has to do with the way that our mind and our bodies interpret the beliefs that we have, and how it takes a belief and everything that a belief comes with, which I'm going to break down for you in just a moment, and it creates a trigger response that has us become addicted to certain emotions, even negative ones. So stay with me here, because a lot of times people focus only on the mind. But love is not a function of the mind. Love is a function of the mind, the body, the heart, the soul. And the way that your entire physicality, your entire beingness operates has to do with mind and body, not just mind. This is why some people aren't able to break through a habit, a pattern, a belief, breaking out of a story that they've had for a long time, because they're focusing only on the cognitive. But there's so much that happens at the subconscious level and at the biological level that if you don't address it, you will continue to experience it. All right. So your thoughts, the thoughts that you have and the emotions that you feel, create a response in your brain and in your body that pulls you towards something, pulls you towards an emotion, pulls you towards an experience, even though it's something that you don't want. So why do we get stuck in patterns? I want to break it down for you. So your beliefs are thoughts, right? Your beliefs come from the things that you think. The things that you think come from the conversations that you've had with people who either raised you, people you've been in contact with, the things that you consume, whether it's news, whether it's what you study, what you read, what you listen to, what you participate in. All of this is creating what your thoughts are. And then your thoughts become beliefs, they become attitudes. And they also turn into emotions. Now, we'll break this down. So the beliefs that you have are thoughts. And as you keep thinking something over and over again, what starts to happen is that thought and that belief turns into, for your mind, your brain, a fact. So you start relating to it like it's a fact, even though it's not. It's a thought. It could be something somebody told you when you were 5, or it could be something that you told yourself, about someone else, about something else when you were 5. And so what happens, for example, is if you've been through, let's say, a painful childhood where you felt that you were not loved. I actually have a client that I coached on this last week, and she's had a major breakthrough in this. So she grew up in a household where she felt that she was not loved, where she was not paid attention to, where what she thought was insignificant. She didn't matter. And so as a child, when you believe that you don't matter, you don't just believe that as a child, and you don't just say that in a moment and then it's gone. You say that, and then it is programmed into your brain and into your body. So that whenever another experience comes up that reminds you of the moment where you told yourself you weren't enough, your brain and your body know exactly how to behave. Your brain and your body go into, I'm not enough. Now, what happens is as you grow older, now you don't even, many times you're not even aware of the decisions you made when you're 5, 6, 7. We're experts at supporting you and being able to identify what those decisions are and being able to dismantle them and replace them. But we're just talking about how this gets started. So you have this, I'm not enough, I'm not loved, I'm not important. Love hurts. Nobody cares for me. All these decisions become thoughts, become beliefs, and now they carry with them emotions. And the stronger the experience where you felt, the stronger the emotion, the more embedded it gets. So as you're growing up, what starts to happen is that becomes a fact, and you start living out that decision. You start living inside of that decision. That decision now has become what you believe and who you are for yourself. So these decisions don't just live in your mind. They create this emotional reaction. And when that emotional reaction happens, it's in your body. This is why, again, just the cognitive thinking is not going to break you out of a trauma, because you need to also identify where is that feeling, that emotion, that trauma stuck, not just in my head, but in my body. So every time you think I'm not good enough, you're going to feel a certain emotion. You could feel sad. You could feel anxious. You could feel afraid. And every time you think that thought and you feel that emotion, your brain releases chemicals that match those emotions. And over time, your body becomes used to feeling that way. Your body becomes used to feeling that way. So it's like your body becomes addicted to that emotion. It gets hooked on those emotions. Give me just 1 second, because my dog has the emotion that he wants to go out. Come on in. This is real life, people. Come on. Okay, so you have a thought, and that thought creates an emotional reaction inside of you. So I'm not enough. Now I feel afraid of not being enough. And how that plays out is this whole chemical reaction happens in my body. And the more I think the thought, the more that emotional reaction happens, the more my body gets used to being in that state. If you're with me, type, I got it. Because this is so critical in understanding why we do the things that we do, even when they don't work for us. So your body gets hooked on this emotion. It gets addicted to this emotion. So now you're addicted to feeling sad. You're addicted to feeling anxious. You're addicted to feeling afraid. You're addicted to feeling scared. You're addicted to feeling angry. And it's because even though it feels bad, your body now gets used to it. So without realizing it, you keep looking. This is where the patterns happen in relationships, for situations, relationships, and people that make you feel the same way you always felt, even if it's painful. So I had an experience when I was 3 years old. My mother came into the room and told my twin sister Gladys and I that our father had gone to heaven with God and the angels. At 3 years old, I don't know what that means. But I'm not sitting there going, I wonder what that means. I don't even ask that. I immediately hear Daddy left to be with God and the angels, and I hear he left. And when I heard he left, my little 3-year-old brain made up what that meant. And what that meant was, he's gone. He's not coming back. He doesn't love me. Now, as I grew up, he's gone. He left. He doesn't love me turns into, I don't matter. There's something wrong with me. I'm unlovable. And whenever I think those thoughts, there's an emotion that came up for me. And when that emotion came up for me, I got used to feeling that way. And not only that, that thought and that emotion became a fact for me. And what I needed to do in my life was to get out of that. But here's the thing. I didn't know how to get out of that. I only knew how to be in that. So what that looked like in reality was, since the time I was 6, I was looking, since the time I was 6 years old, I had a boy I liked, or a boyfriend. So 6 years old, not that long after that initial decision was made. And there was this pattern of liking somebody and needing to be liked. Because if you liked me, then that meant I did matter. It meant there wasn't anything wrong with it. It meant I was important. It meant that I was lovable. But I would always pick the guys who either liked somebody else or didn't treat me well. Because there's a whole other element that happens here which is as that chemical reaction is happening, it's affecting not only your mind and your body, it's every cell in your body, and it's also the energy that you carry, which every single one of us carries energy inside of us. We are all energy. Everything inside us operates on energy. And that energy has a way of attracting to, like, you put an energy out. If you've ever been around people who are angry and bitter, they're usually around other people who are angry and bitter. Have you noticed that? So there's something that attracts that likeness of energy as well. And so what happens is that if somebody, now I didn't know this and you don't know this, and knowing this is not going to transform it, but it's going to give you some insight that's going to give you some power in understanding that there really is nothing wrong with you. There really is nothing wrong with you. There is a pattern at work, and until you break the pattern, your body will keep craving this experience. So I'm going to stop right here. So think about the relationships that you've had. Let's talk about romantic relationships right now. And notice how many of those guys could have been from different backgrounds, different age groups, different times in your life. There was something they all had in common that was brought into the relationship. If you can get in contact with that and connected with that, you're going to start opening this up for yourself. If you really look, there's something that they have in common. Maybe they didn't do the same thing. They may not have even looked the same way. I'm not talking about having a type and things like that. I'm talking about what draws you to somebody and has that person be drawn to you. It's a pattern. It's an emotional pattern, a behavioral pattern based on the beliefs and the emotions that are tied to that belief. So until you can break out of whatever that belief is, you will keep being drawn to that feeling that your body is used to feeling, and you will keep choosing people that are a match for that. So for me, it was always the guy who liked somebody else, or just broke up with somebody else, or was going to, I always had to wonder if there was something else going on. I mean, I look back from the time I was 6, this was happening. With Benny and then Robert. I mean, I could George, I could play it out this way all the way up until the time I started doing this heart work. There was always someone there. And then, or something, because then it became also work as I got older. I started attracting men who there was always work was going to come first. I was not going to come first. Why? Because I already believed that I wasn't important. I didn't matter. And there was something wrong with me. So as you start looking at this, you're going to find the patterns. And you're going to be drawn to people, relationships, and situations that make you feel the way you're comfortable feeling, even if it feels painful. You will be drawn to that, even if it feels painful. And so the tricky part of this is that these limiting beliefs are driving you, and they're driving the choices that you're making, the people that you're attracted to, and the people who are attracted to you, and then the behaviors that you keep repeating over and over again. So for example, if you believe, I don't deserve to be treated with love and respect, you're going to keep attracting people and choosing partners who don't value you and don't respect you and don't see you as deserving of love and respect. If you have a belief that men cannot be trusted, and this is one of mine, came from that very first decision at 3 years old, this is what it morphed into, then you're going to struggle. You're going to struggle to really be able to feel comfortable being yourself, and you're going to struggle finding somebody who you can trust and who genuinely trusts you. So all these limiting beliefs and the emotions that are attached to them create this loop, because you start with the thought, you think a certain thought, and then you're going to, so let's say it this way, you think a certain way, and then you feel a certain way or a certain emotion. And then the actions are going to follow that are a match for that thought and those emotions. Even if you try to say, I'm going to do the opposite, this will not work. Because unless you have, how can I say this? Unless you have a real expertise in being able to do this, what's most likely to happen is when you're in a moment of change, like changing behaviors, changing ways of being, changing ways of approaching things. Change is uncomfortable. So without support, what happens is no matter how much, and I hear this all the time, I'll do anything. When really it's I'll do anything until it feels uncomfortable, because the brain and body are so used to and so addicted to that emotion. So in the Okay. All right. I see that I completely lost internet. I'm not sure, Diane, if you can give me a clue of where I was when I lost everybody. Thank you for hanging in there. I appreciate it. All right. So let's see. All right, Diane, I need you to type something quick so I know where to pick up because I know where I stopped, but I saw that my screen went blank and I don't know if I was on or off when, for a while. Okay, so let me go ahead and just hear from some of you. What are some of the beliefs that you have, those limiting beliefs that you can identify? Okay, so got it. So Diane says that I was talking about how I always needed to um, have a guy. I think that's where it was. So I'll see if I can recreate what I was saying. So from the time I was 6, there was always, and it started in kindergarten. I was always drawn to guys who liked someone else, and I was always, and as I grew older, it was either they just broke up with somebody or they were still in a relationship that wasn't working, or they were still in a relationship, or they just gotten out of a relationship. And if you go back to that initial belief that there's something wrong with me, that I'm not loved, you could see how the pull, that belief has an emotion. And the emotion that would come up for me was desperation, desperately wanting to be loved. So who I was pulled toward was somebody who I would need to prove that I was worth something. Now, I didn't, again, this is not something you're thinking about. This is the work that we do with our clients. So the pool was to be with somebody. Why was I attracted to people who would either treat me poorly, men who were treating me poorly, or men who were always in and out, someone was in the background? Because I needed proof that I was lovable. And in order to prove that I was lovable, I needed to know that I was going to be the one that was going to be chosen. And so that belief kept me in this pattern of going after, and I would pursue guys and I would get their attention. And if you liked me or you showed me any attention, that's it. I was in, because I needed that validation. The desperation for feeling like I was something and someone that could be loved, that was lovable, had me be attracted to people who were not available to love me fully, who were not going to love me in a way that really matched what I wanted, but not what I believed. So you're attracting men who are attracted to what you believe, not what you want. That might be the biggest aha for some of you. If you look at the patterns of who you have attracted over the years, it's not what you want, it's what you believe about yourself that has you attract certain people, and it has those people be attracted to you because there's a likeness in that energy. It draws you to them and it draws them to you. All right. So let me see if I can get back on track here. So I see some of you have put your beliefs there. I believe that I always have I always have to take care of a man. He can't take care of himself, sometimes financially, sometimes medically. So just notice how many men have shown up in your life that you have to take care of. Notice how that belief and the emotions that have, now get in touch with that. What's the emotion that comes up for you when you think that? Because that's the emotion that's carrying the energy that's drawing you to him and drawing him to you. Let's see. Thank you, Barbara, for sharing that. Valerie says, I'm not capable of having healthy romantic relationships with high quality men. So if you have a belief, now you want to break that down a little bit more, Valerie, because there's a belief that you can't have a healthy romantic relationship with a high quality man. Why not? What do you believe about yourself? And what emotion does that bring up for you? So you want to really, ladies, start making this real for yourself. Now, you're probably going to start to feel uncomfortable right now. You're going to start to feel however your body reacts when you're feeling uncomfortable. Heart beating fast, breath slowing down, body feeling hot. all that's happening is you're having a thought. But just notice the chemical reaction that's happening in your body when you think that thought. What's the emotion that comes up when you think that thought? I'm not enough or worthy of unconditional love. Leola says, okay, Leola, what's the emotion that brings up in you? I'm not chosen. What's the emotion, Janie? I'm just not good with men. What? So that, Patrice, is coming from something else. I'll just invite you to look at where else do you feel you're not good at something or with something or enough, because that's going to be the core of the belief. All right. So, Barbara, if I take care of a man, he will need me. Okay, but I still want you now. Don't try and figure this out right now, ladies, because all you want to do right now is notice what the belief is and what is the emotion that it brings up, because this is what creates the pattern. Trying now to get to the answer, we're going to get there, but what your brain is going to fight to do right now is make it fit into what you already know. Why? Because it feels uncomfortable to not know something. And so I'm just going to keep pointing it out, and everybody's doing great. You all are doing awesome, and thank you for participating, because that's what makes these love chats worthwhile. So you believe that if you take care of a man, he'll take care of you. There's still an underlying belief that has you believe that you have to take care of somebody. There's a belief about yourself that has you believe that you have to take care of somebody in order for them to take care of you. And if you can get in touch with that and the emotion that brings up for you, you're going to get one step closer to breaking through this. Same thing, Patrice. Notice now it's not that you're not, let me see what you said before. I'm just not good with men. Now you're not good enough to get married. So what is it? It's not complex. What you all make up now as an adult is coming from what you made up as a child. So the child's belief is much more simple than what it's turned into, because what it's turned into, like, I'm not marriage material, you would never think that as a 5-year-old. That's what it has turned into, because it became a fact of life for you. And when it became a fact, just like oxygen, right? We need oxygen to breathe. If you don't have oxygen, your body behaves a particular way. Yes? Well, this belief also creates a particular response in your body, and it's going to have you go after something. It's going to have you be a certain way. Once you feel a certain way, you're going to act a certain way because you're thinking a certain way. Loop-de-loop-de-loop. Okay? All right, good, Valerie. Valerie's like, you know what? I'm gonna delve into this. Now, here's what I invite you to do: not process yourself to pieces. Okay, it's not complicated. Now, is there a process to break out of it? Absolutely, but this is not complicated, because if you look at your life, it's there. Look at your love life; it's going to be clear as day. And I love what Patrice put. I'm not marriage material, because that example of that's not what a child would say. If you backtrack it, you'll hear it. Now, I want you to know something. Part of being a human being is always going to have you question whether you're good enough or lovable. That's part of being a human being. Why am I saying that? Because if you just get that's part of being a human being, you stop making it so personal to yourself. And then there are these other beliefs that you've created, that you've amplified and solidified and magnified in your life. And that's why it starts to look like that's the way it is. It's not. It's the way you think, and it's the way you feel. It's not the way that it is. It's the way that you think, or you've been thinking, and it's the way that you've been feeling. So once you know what the belief is and what the emotion is brings up is, then you want to start questioning those beliefs. Start questioning them, because you've got to turn them into, that's one possible way to believe, but it's not a fact. It's not a fact like I breathe in oxygen. That's something that I said. Now, if you believe this for a long time, you want to think of your brain. It's got a bunch of like tunnels and pathways, right? So let's say, I'm going to try and make it, okay? So let's say that this is part of your brain, right? So you've got some tunnels and pathways. The more you say something, I'm going to do it this way. The more you say something to yourself, those tunnels and pathways get closer and closer together. There's an energetic pull. The more you think it, the more together they become. The more you think it, the more together. And then all of a sudden, now you've got a longer, bigger, stronger pathway that believes that belief and carries that emotion. So imagine if you are in your 50s and you thought that for the first time at 5 years old, 45 years believing the same thing, it's pretty well programmed in there. And it's why affirmations alone are not going to break it down, because it is at the brain and body, because brain and body being the consciousness, right? Mind. So it's your brain and body are connected to that belief, are connected to that emotion. And remember, your body is so used to what it believes that it actually pulls for it. So why is this important? Because a lot of times you're going to feel like you're connected, strongly connected to someone who is not good for you, because what you're connecting to is that emotion, that painful emotion that's tied to that belief that you have about yourself. Do you see why it's so important to be able to identify what that belief and the emotion are, and then learn how to break this down? Because otherwise you're going to keep being pulled to it. It's like, candy to a kid, even though it feels bad. So it's counterintuitive, which is why logically it's not going to make any sense. If you're still with me, type I'm with you. Type I'm with you. And if you're feeling any sense of disempowerment, I want you to remind yourself, it's just a thought. It's just a thought. Because when you start relating to it like a thought versus the truth or a fact, you start to get your power back. Because once upon a time, you believed that there was really a wolf and 3 little pigs. Even though somebody was telling you it was a fairy tale, you thought that was true. Or that there was a house made out of candy and there was a witch inside. That thought brought up an emotion of fear, and because you believed it, you may have been, if somebody reminded you of what the witch looked like in the book, all of a sudden you're having all this emotion about it. So I want you to start relating to those thoughts like they're stories you've told yourself that you've believed until now. And that there is another more empowering conversation you can have with yourself that will actually break you out of the past and will put you into a new future that has nothing to do with your past. And it's going to be important to replace those beliefs. Replace them with something that's not just the opposite, because the opposite can still be being pulled from the same belief, but something that you completely flatten out that belief as having any validity whatsoever. With that, you will flatten out the emotions. I did this exercise with someone last week, and really a lifetime of holding on to, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable. This is the person I was talking about at the beginning of the love chat. In one session, working on where she made this up and how she has reacted to it, and what if that wasn't, and walking her through the steps. For the first time in decades, she was like, I don't have to hold on to this anymore. It's even kind of silly to keep holding on to it. So imagine having the power to do that. Because when you are able to change your beliefs, your emotions will shift. And when your emotions and your beliefs change and shift, your behaviors will naturally follow. So as you let go of these beliefs that you've told yourself and the emotions that come up with it, these beliefs that you're unworthy and the sadness that comes up with it, or that you're unlovable and the desperation that comes up with it, you'll start to behave differently in dating and in relationships. You won't even be attracted to the same kind of people you've been attracted to, because they will no longer be a match for you. And you'll learn how to set boundaries for yourself that you get to honor. You'll learn to speak up in a dignified way, not in a reactive way, in a responsive way, and say what you need and what you want. And you'll be able to choose partners who respect and cherish you the way that you deserve to be respected and cherished. And the emotional craving, that emotional addiction to what's old and familiar, like anxiety or feeling less than or insecurity or fear, will start to fade away. And what's left is a confident woman who's open to love and be loved freely. So when you break through those limiting beliefs and those emotional addictions, you can finally let go of that past, the way that you've related to yourself in the past, and open yourself up to a new future that has nothing to do with what you experienced or what you were told or what you told yourself. One where you can experience true love and true connection, the one you've always wanted. And when you stop being led by your past and the thoughts that you have as if they're real, so you can create space for a partner who wants to align, or actually not wants to, he actually aligns with your new empowered self. You're not going to settle anymore for what's comfortable. Stop settling for what's comfortable. I know it looks like you're not settling and it's happening to you. I invite you to consider that you've been settling for what's comfortable based on what you've believed and what you felt about that until now. And when you learn how to break through this, you'll be ready for what's extraordinary. And that's extraordinary love. So imagine what your relationship with yourself could look like. Imagine the kind of relationship that you could create for yourself when you finally break free from these old patterns that have been holding you back. What if you could step into a new, fulfilling, and deeply loving relationship where you feel completely valued and cherished, first by yourself and then with someone else? Would that be worth it to you? Would it be worth having? Would it be worth experiencing? Would it be worth letting go of the familiar? Yes or no? Type it in the chat. Would that be worth it for you? All right. So here's how you can break out of it. How you can break out of it is joining us at the Irresistible Woman Live by getting your Irresistible Woman bundle. So you get to become that next level, up level into the next level of you. And join us at the Irresistible Woman Live. So with this bundle, you go to attractyourlovenow.com. That's attractyourlovenow.com. It's not just a ticket to an event. You're going to be able to come to the event. The event is a 3-day event, November 22nd through the 24th. Now, it's an event that women from all over the world come to. Women have come to it many times. Some of them, it'll be their first time, but it'll be a weekend like you've never experienced before, because we're going to teach you how to break free, completely free from the old way of relating to yourself, your old way of thinking, your old way of feeling, your old way of behaving. We're going to teach you how you do that so that you can create that new future with your new partner. That's everything that you wanted, nothing missing, settling for nothing less than that. So when you get this Irresistible Woman bundle, you're going to get the ticket to the event. You're also going to get a ticket to the Prep for Love call that comes a few days before the event, where we do a lot of coaching and training to get you ready for the event. Some of you are going to have breakthroughs even before you walk in the room on the 22nd, because you'll be at the Prep for Love call. You'll also be able to get a recording of the Extraordinary Love Now Masterclass, which we're having it. It's coming up next weekend, Saturday, November 19th. You'll be able to come to that. You'll be able to, it's a free event. We're going to be sending out, starting tomorrow, information on how you can join us that weekend. So you can also share it with your girlfriends, because I'm telling you, there's nothing more powerful in if you want speed in creating a shift in your life, start surrounding yourself with people who are in a conversation for what is possible for you. Not what's been possible for you, but what is possible for you moving forward. So you can come, you can invite your friends to that event. You're going to get the recording to that masterclass, which is one of the most powerful masterclasses that we give. And again, that masterclass is next weekend. And you'll also get the Love Manifestation Meditation. And this is a meditation that I created that will empower you and enable you to be able to get into the energetic frequency of the vision you have for love, not the one you've had, but the one that you truly desire in your heart. It's going to get you into that energetic frequency. Why is that important? And again, this is, when I say energetic frequency, I'm not talking woo-woo. I'm talking true. This is scientific fact that every emotion that you feel and every thought that you have carries a frequency with it. And what you're putting out there is what you're going to get back. It's and even a step beyond that, based on what we talked about today, it's going to be what you're putting out there, and that's what you're going to be getting back. So that love manifestation meditation, it's a favorite of anyone who's ever bought any of our meditation. That's one of their favorites, and you can listen to it every day, so that every day you are priming yourself. You're priming yourself, you're priming your thoughts, you're priming your emotions, you're priming your body to feel and be that level of energy and that level of a woman that's in that relationship that you want. When you can, this is what star athletes do. They get themselves into the zone before they're even in the race. They're already seeing themselves running, breathing, jumping, tossing the ball, whatever it is, successfully. And that's why when they're on the field, they can perform. So you're going to be able to put yourself into that energy, into that thought process, into the emotional process, to have your mind, body, and soul all connected, so you're able to start to manifest now, not when you're in the relationship, but you start creating it as a possibility right now. You start bringing it towards you right now. So all of this, the ticket to the Irresistible Woman Live, the ticket to the Prep for Love call, the free recording of the Extraordinary Love Now Masterclass, and the Love Manifestation Meditation right now, we have it for $57. Why do you have it for $57? To get all the excuses out of the way. You want to separate that weekend, November 22nd through the 24th, because that's the weekend it's all going to shift for you. You're going to learn how to do this. We're going to be there with you, and it's going to be a weekend like you've never experienced. So I cannot wait to see you there. I cannot wait to see what you create. And I cannot wait to see what you write back to us and say you manifested within 3 to 9 months. That's what women all over the world are experiencing. They do this heart work, our work, and they, in 3 to 9 months, they've gone from single, forever single and settling, to successful in love. And that could be you too. All right. So with that, I'm going to call it a wrap for Love Chat today. I hope that it's been valuable for you. If it has, you can type a V in the chat to let me know it's been valuable. Thank you for hanging in there with the technical difficulties. That's what commitment looks like. That would have been a good reason to drop off. I appreciate your patience. I appreciate you hanging in there. I appreciate the way that you've participated today. Have this love chat make a difference for you and at least 2 other people in your life. Like right now, take an action that is connected to the commitment you have to having it for yourself and others having it too. That act of generosity will come back to you tenfold. All right, ladies. So that's it for Love Chat today. Thank you for being here. And until our hearts meet again, always remember that you are loved. Goodbye for now.